Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. US Supreme Court clears Mumbai terror attack convict Tahawwur Rana's extradition to India. Indonesian President Subianto to meet his Indian counterpart. Delegation level meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend Republic Day celebration at Kartavya Path as the chief guest on Sunday. India's President Draupadi Murmu to address nation on the eve of Republic Day. Russian President Putin dismisses Trump's sanction threats, says ready for negotiations. Zelensky blames Putin for manipulating. Combat veteran and former news host Pete Hegseth confirmed as US Defense Secretary by 1 vote. Vice President J.D. Vance voted as tiebreaker. And key showdown for Australia Open title. Sabalenka will face Madison Keys in the women's singles, while Alexander to take on Sinner in the men's singles. India's President Draupadi Murmu will address the nation on the eve of Republic Day on January 25th. And as we told you, we will be taking you to Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the visiting dignitary Indonesian President is on a visit to India and he is being given ceremonial welcome there at Rashtrapati Bhavan. We'll take you live there. As we told you, the visiting dignitary will be participating as a chief guest on the Republic Day celebrations on Sunday at Kartavya Path, and he is on a visit to India. Yesterday, Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, held a meeting with the visiting dignitary, and today he will be meeting President Draupadi Murmu. Also, a bilateral meeting is scheduled with Prime Minister Narendra Modi through the day. And also, in just a while from now, we will take you to Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the Indonesian President will be given a ceremonial welcome. I'm told we will take you to the President House in a while from now. But meanwhile, let's turn focus to the other updates that we were getting you. As we told you, India's President Draupadi Murmu will address the nation on the eve of Republic Day on January 25th. The speech will air at 7 p.m. IST across all Doordarshan channels and Akashvani in Hindi and English, with regional versions following shortly after. Also, following the initial broadcast, Doordarshan will continue the transmission in various regional languages on its regional channels. Now, this ensures that the President's message reaches every corner of the nation, emphasizing the country's cultural and linguistic diversity. Akashvani will support this outreach, broadcasting the regional language versions starting at 9:30 p.m. IST on its respective regional networks, making the President's address accessible to a broader audience. And we had told you that the Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is on a 3-day visit to India, and this is primarily to attend the 76th Republic Day celebrations at Kartavya Path. He will be meeting his Indian counterpart Draupadi Murmu and will also attend a ceremonial reception in a while from now. Later in the afternoon, he will hold a delegation-level talk with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The entire gamut of bilateral cooperation, including in the areas of defence and security, trade and investment, healthcare, energy, connectivity, tourism and people-to-people relations will be reviewed at the talks. For further strengthening ties between the two nations, several agreements will also be exchanged. Earlier on Friday, the visiting President Subianto met External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in the national capital. Making a comment after the meeting, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said that Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto graced the upcoming Republic Day celebrations as the chief guest. Will be gracing the upcoming Republic Day celebrations as the chief guest, and it will be a fitting celebration of the cherished friendship between India and Indonesia. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted in an at-home event with tribal guests, NCC cadets, NSS volunteers, Rashtriya Rangshala camp artists and tableau artists who would be part of the upcoming Republic Day parade. Republic Day Parade 2025 will be a unique blend of India's cultural diversity and military prowess, with special focus on 75 years of enactment of the Constitution and Jan Bhagidari. Doordarshan, the public broadcaster of India, has made special arrangements for the live coverage of Republic Day Parade on 26th of January. Information and Broadcasting Ministry officials visited the site at Kartavya Path in New Delhi to take stock of the arrangements. DD India's correspondent Vishal Baristow gets us more.
India is all set to celebrate Republic Day Parade on January 26th. The day marks the adoption of India's constitution and the country's transition to a republic on January 26, 1950. The grand celebration will showcase country's cultural diversity and military strength, with a special focus on the 75th anniversary of the enactment of Indian constitution and the theme of Jan Bhagidari, which means people's participation. Two tableaux during the parade will showcase the celebration of 75 years of Constitution. Floral decorations, view cutters will be depicting the theme. Balloons at the end of the program will be released with the banner of this message. The chief guest for the parade will be Prabowo Subianto, President of Republic of Indonesia. The parade will feature a 160-member marching contingent and 190-member band from Indonesia, joining Indian Armed Forces contingents on Kartavya Path in national capital, New Delhi. India's public broadcaster Doordarshan will telecast the entire event live for viewers across.
The forecourts of Rashtrapati is being given a ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is on a 3-day visit to India, primarily to attend the 76th Republic Day celebrations at Kartavya Path tomorrow, that is on Sunday, 26th of January. And here up on our screens we see the Indonesian President being welcomed at Rashtrapati Bhavan by President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he is being given a ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Just. श्रीमान अंतर सेना सम्मान गार्ड निरीक्षण के लिए हजरत।
These are the visuals we're getting for you from Rashtrapati Bhavan, where Indonesian President is being given a ceremonial welcome. Prabowo Subianto, the Indonesian President, is on a 3-day visit to India, accompanied by a delegation. The visit primarily will be to attend the 76th Republic Day celebrations at Kartavya Path tomorrow for the 76th Republic Day parade, and also bilateral talks will be held between the Indonesian President and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the afternoon. The visiting dignitary will also meet President Draupadi Murmu. Yesterday, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, met the visiting dignitary, and here up on our screens, we saw him being given a ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Just express my deepest appreciation and the great honor I've received today. I've been invited officially to India. Indonesia considers India a very great friend, India was one of the first country, maybe the first country to recognize our independence, to support us in our struggle for independence. We will never forget what India did to help us. I'm really honored today, and I'm doubly honored that tomorrow I will be the chief guest at your Republic Day parade. So, Madam President, I would like to express my deepest thanks. Excellency Prime Minister Modi, just like to express to you that I'm committed to promote closer cooperation, closer partnership with India. That is my determination. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So that was Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto being given the ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan, and he is on a 3-day visit to India, and he will be attending the 76th Republic Day celebrations tomorrow as the chief guest. He appreciated the ties between India and Indonesia, and he called India a great friend of Indonesia. He said that he is honoured to be in India and also doubly honoured to be attending the 76th Republic Day celebrations tomorrow as the chief guest. He also talked of his determination. He expressed his determination, in fact, that he aims to further strengthen the relationship between India and Indonesia. Through the day, the visiting dignitary will be meeting President Draupadi Murmu. He will be also holding a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We will keep you updated. Meanwhile, we are heading for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. In news just coming in a major win for India, the US Supreme Court has cleared 2611 attack convict Tahawwur Rana's extradition to India. Rana is wanted in India for his involvement in the 2008 Mumbai attacks. The US Supreme Court dismissed a review petition against Rana's conviction in the case. Rana had filed a petition for a writ of certiorari before the US Supreme Court in November last year. Now, this was denied by the Apex Court on January 21st, a day after Donald Trump was sworn in as the American president. Rana is currently detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. This was Rana's last legal chance not to be extradited to India, as he has already lost the legal battle in several federal courts, including the US Court of Appeals for the North Circuit in San Francisco. India was seeking the extradition of Rana, a Canadian national of Pakistani origin, in the 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack case. Rana has been declared a fugitive by India and is facing multiple criminal charges. Senior journalist Lalit Jha is joining us on phone line from Washington, D.C. Also, we are joined in by a guest, Mr. Atul Aneja, foreign affairs expert. First, we'll go across to Lalit Jha, who is joining us on phone line from the U.S. Lalit, good morning. This is a major win for India. Help us understand how significant is it, because this was supposed to be the last attempt by Tahawwur Rana not to be extradited to India.
Development in India's pursuit to find justice for people who killed so many of the innocent citizens in India and Mumbai. This was a long battle. This has been a long battle for the. This was the last legal thing that he had lost. After this, State Department, now the things goes to State Department, who is going to probably issue a surrender certificate. India has already petitioned before the U.S. requested before the U.S. for extradition of Tahawwur Rana. So that process, that bureaucratic or legal process will begin now.
All right, Lalit, also for the benefit of our viewers, help us understand how will this now be executed now that Tahawwur Rana's extradition has been approved. What next? How is this to be carried out?
Actually, I don't have much insight into this, but what I believe that once the Supreme Court has denied his petition that he should not be extradited to India, now it lands in the hands of the State Department, which will be taking the next step forwards of completing the legal process and starting the process of his formal extradition to India.
All right. We also know that this was supposed to be the
next
last
step would be for them to inform the Indian government, then someone from the Indian government representative will come here, and obviously they will take him back.
All right. This was supposed to be the last chance of Tahawwur Rana not to be extradited to India. But now that it has been dismissed, get us more as to what were the previous attempts or efforts made by Rana to avoid extradition to India, because we tell our viewers that Rana had filed a petition for a writ of certiorari before the US Supreme Court in November last year, which was dismissed by the Apex Court on January 21st this year, a day after Donald Trump was sworn in as the American president. For our benefit of our viewers, just get us a brief backgrounder as to how many times did Tahawwur Rana try to escape the clutches of justice?
Multiple times at the 3 different level of courts he has approached, and again in all those courts he had opportunities to appeal and re-appeal, file petition to challenge the previous court's orders. In all those things, he has been saying that since he already has been convicted and got a prison sentence in the cases involved with Mumbai terrorist attack, he cannot be charged and cases be filed against him in India for the same charges. But in all those things, the U.S. government, based on what India has provided information to them, argued before the court that no, that's not the case. He is being tried in a different case in India, and under the treaty, he is extraditable to India.
All right, Lalit Jha,
the argument from the U.S. government.
At this point, I will bring in Mr. Atul Aneja. He is a senior guest and he will be joining us to spell out more insights into this developing story. Good morning, sir. Welcome to DD India News Hour. Help us understand how significant is this. On one hand, we tell our viewers that this was the last chance for Tahawwur Rana not to be extradited to India. How will this be further executed? How significant is this?
You think this is a huge smashing success for India to get a person who's been convicted for 2611 charges. So I think this will complete the picture of the entire, or help complete the picture of the entire conspiracy of 2611, Preeti. Because once he comes into India, then there'll be certain other loose ends which will get connected. And I would suspect, and it's widely suspected, that the entire involvement of the Pakistani deep state in the entire conspiracy will be closer to that, establishing that with his extradition. That's number one in terms of the investigation of 2611. I think, and second thing is the overall message which it sends on counterterrorism, that India is serious, it does not forget those who have committed such heinous crimes against us, whether it may have happened in 2008, but we pursue. So I think it gives it's a big bolster to India's own reputation and image of its counter-terrorism determination. And the third thing is, Preeti, is the bilateral track between India and US. I think that gets strengthened as well, that it's a joint fight of the United States and India to counter terrorism. I think that's again a big message to the entire world. And finally, it will have implication on the global sort of a drive, a global convention against terrorism. So various positive implications from an Indian perspective, Preeti. And I think, as I said, it's a fantastic success. It really shows that when you are a serious nation and you are pursuing your goals, you will not falter. So there's a larger message about the new India, which will go across to the world.
All right, so this carries a larger message that will go across to the world. But sir, help us understand what next from here on? What process is to be followed? How is the extradition to be carried out?
I think they're I'm not sure of the technicals which will be involved. The point is that the decision has been taken by the Supreme Court. Now it's the downstreaming execution of it. As Lalit was pointing out, the State Department takes over, and then finally, he's moved out of the US, I suppose with under Indian supervision. Then he comes into India, and a legal process starts in India as well. So it's the full, we are a country committed to rule of law, and this is exactly how I think it's going to be carried out. Once in India, then the investigation, then the interrogation, you're going to get the information out of him. That process, I think since I can comment on the foreign affairs and the strategic element of it, the exact legal details, step 1, step 2, step 3, I think somebody from the legal side will better be able to tell you in exact detail. But the big picture one can see that he'll come back under supervision, hand it over, and then a legal process starts over here. And more importantly is what comes out of that legal process, Preeti.
Yes.
What information do we get out of him? How does it connect the dots of the entire 26/11 conspiracy? We had hundreds of people killed with that, and we can never forget that. So we need to get the bottom of it. What it imply then to India-Pakistan relations is another thing which will be on the radar as well. Huge implications in terms of overall image of India, India's neighborhood, Indo-US relationship, and counter-terrorism on a global scale. And frankly, if you're going into all that, then India's stature on the global stage as well. That if it's a serious country, then you can feed it even into our aspirations to become a member of the UN Security Council. There are small contributory things which happen. What happens, Preeti, to the other terror kingpins who are, in the U.S. Committee on Counter-Terror? I mean, there are names over there whose names have been blocked in terms of being proscribed as global terrorists. What implications will it have on that process also? In the UN process, I think that's also going to be an important sort of a implication coming out of this huge development which has taken place.
All right, sir. So very aptly explained. I'll take that forward to our correspondent Amritpal Singh, who is joining us. Amrit, good morning. Now, we just had inputs coming in from our guest, Mr. Atul Naneja. He talked about the implications. But help us understand what were the court's observations in dismissing the extradition request of Rana, and also further, how will that be executed? How will the extradition be executed? Help us understand that first.
Prasar Rana has exploited finished all his legal routes in the United States. He was tried in various courts for extradition. It was denied. He went in for a U.S. Court of Appeals in California, San Francisco, which was again denied. Then he went on November 13th to the Supreme Court. And again, the Supreme Court has ruled on the 21st of this month that his petition is denied. He was basically seeking relief on the legal ground of double jeopardy, saying that he cannot be tried or convicted be convicted for the same offense again, and which the U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Preliboria has argued that there are additional charges which were not made out against him in the U.S. courts because they relate to India. For example, the forgery charge when he filed an application, when his company actually filed an application through David Coleman Headley for opening an immigration service in India, which was basically a front for doing recce for the 2611 targets, and therefore he should be tried. And so the Supreme Court ruled on the 21st of this month that there are enough grounds for his extradition. Now what happens is, from the court's ruling, the Justice Department takes it forward to the State Department, which has an extradition request pending. They execute it. It's just a matter of procedure. Of course, his lawyers can, have the right to argue on that in the State Department and represent him in the State Department on legal loopholes. But given the fact that multiple courts have ruled against him, there are slim chances of that not coming through. And it's only a matter of time that he'll be extradited to India. Once that's done, the legal process begins in India. A 400-page charge sheet has already been filed in the Indian courts against him, and the legal process takes off in India. As Atul Aneja was saying, that of course he'll be remanded back to the investigator. He'll be remanded to the investigators first. The investigators, that's basically the police, will look at is there additional information that he can reveal, because he has not been interrogated or questioned by the Indian law enforcement agencies. So the law enforcement agencies would try and see that if additional information can be culled from him, and then he'll be tried in the Indian courts. He's already been declared a fugitive. He's named. He's an accused in the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. So he's a fugitive, and a charge sheet has already been filed against him. If the investigators so feel that additional charges need to be leveled against him on the basis of new information that he may reveal, they have the right to do so, and he can be tried under, and additional charges can be leveled against him apart from those already mentioned in the charge sheet filed against him.
All right, Amrit, thank you for joining in with those details. And from here, I will bring in Mr. Atul Aneja. Sir, we were talking of how long this battle has been fought. The Mumbai attacks took place in 2008, and today, when he will be extradited, his, the petition to extradite has been approved by the US. This comes at a time when Donald Trump administration 2.0 takes over in the US. This is indeed a very strong message for the world to see that India and US are on the same page when it comes to terrorism, isn't it?
Absolutely, Preeti. I mean, its timing couldn't have been better. His extradition was cleared by the Supreme Court, US Supreme Court, on the 21st of January, a day after Donald Trump took office. It did not be a direct legal connection with it, but overall, the timing has been superb. A lot of things, Preeti, take place behind the scenes. That would be another story itself, of which may come out later, whether the Trump administration officials or incoming officials had a role to play. I would suspect they would have had a role as well. So I think it augurs very well for Indo-US relationship. It defines one track of collaboration which we can go whole hog forward, intelligence sharing, etc., which comes on the counter-terrorism drive. So it has a very positive impact on the overall India-US relationship. You also have a lot of people of Indian origin in the Trump administration. I think the overall impression globally of India-US ties rocking is definitely coming through. And there'll be countries which would be noticing that. Having said that, India believes in its strategic autonomy. It will continue its relationship with the US along with those other countries of this multipolar world. But this is a hugely important relationship, the Indo-US relationship. And I think this gets a big and a positive boost after this decision by the US Supreme Court to allow extradition of Tahir Rana at a time when the Trump administration has just taken over. Huge positive signals for a much deeper engagement between India and the US.
All right, sir. Also, what do you make of the approach which has been put forth by the Indian government when it comes to presenting India on the global page, be it terrorism or be it other issues? Because time and again, the Prime Minister has talked of dealing with terrorism with an iron fist. So put all this together, what do you make of the gradual change of India's image? Because you've talked of how, India is being taken seriously on the global page now when we talk of terrorism and other issues as well. So what is your evaluation as a foreign affairs expert? What is your evaluation of how India's image on the global page has changed over the years when we talk of such important global issues?
I think, Preeti, counter-terrorism has been a major initiative which India has taken. And I think this success is a global success. So the message goes across about India's commitment to counter-terrorism, which is a huge global problem, along with other problems like climate change, etc., etc. So this itself, so in terms on the global stage, this definitely impacts positively on India and its global responsibilities. Preeti, I always go back to the G20 summit which India hosted, where I think we formally arrived on the global stage, being a bridge between the East and the West, North and the South, and a champion of the global South. I think that it also feeds into this global image of India. And I would say that finally, these are small bits which help bolster India's case to be a permanent member of the UN Security Council. So I think it has massive global implications. We need to now show that we will follow the rule of law in the way we investigate this case further. And we will also not hesitate to name and shame those just not non-state actors, but possibly state actors which are responsible for this. And I think that message will go not only in our region, but beyond our region across the globe.
All right, sir, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those insights. So that was Foreign Affairs expert Mr. Atul Aneja telling us more and helping us understand more as we tell you the big news just coming in. Tahawood Rana will be extradited to India. The US court has given its nod to this. So this was the big news we were tracking. Up next, we're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. In a historic vote, US Vice President J.D. Vance broke a 50-50 tie to confirm Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News personality, as the new US Secretary of Defense. 3 Republican senators voted against Hegseth's confirmation, citing concerns about his suitability for the role. However, with Vance's tie-breaking vote, Hegseth is set to become the new Pentagon chief. US President Donald Trump expressed happiness on the successful Senate confirmation of his defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth.
I'm honored to have Pete. I think Pete's going to be a great Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and we're honored to have him.
United States, the world's biggest donor, froze virtually all foreign aid, making exceptions only for emergency food and military funding for Israel and Egypt. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sent an internal memo days after President Donald Trump took office, vowing an America First policy of tightly restricting assistance overseas. The sweeping order appears to affect everything from development assistance to military aid, including to Ukraine, which received billions of dollars in weapons under Joe Biden's presidency as it tries to repel a Russian invasion. The directive also means a pause of at least several months of US funding for PEPFAR, the anti-HIV AIDS initiative that buys antiretroviral drugs to treat the disease in developing countries, largely in Africa. US also made an exception for contributions to emergency food assistance following the crisis around the world, including in Sudan and Syria. Russian President Vladimir Putin dismissed US President Trump's threat of new sanctions against Russia on Friday, stating that he does not believe Trump would take any action that might hurt the American economy. Speaking to Russian state television, Putin reiterated his willingness to meet the newly inaugurated US president soon, while Trump has also voiced interest in a meeting. There is still no word from the White House or the Kremlin on when it might happen.
We hear about the possibility of introducing additional sanctions against Russia. I doubt that US President Donald Trump will make decisions that will harm the American economy itself. He is not only a smart person but a pragmatic person, and I can hardly imagine that decisions will be made damaging the American economy itself.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused his Russian counterpart Putin of trying to manipulate Donald Trump. This comes after Putin praised the US president and expressed readiness for talks with him.
The report of the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service on Russia's military potential and Putin's readiness to continue the war and manipulate the leaders of the world. And in particular, he wants to manipulate the desire of the President of the United States of America to achieve peace. I am confident that no Russian manipulations will succeed anymore.
Ukraine reportedly hit a Russian oil refinery and targeted Moscow during an attack involving a wave of drones, one of the largest single operations of its kind during the conflict. Meanwhile, Russia claimed that its forces had repelled an overnight drone attack. Russia said on Friday that it shot down 120 drones over a dozen regions overnight, including over the capital Moscow, in one of the biggest such barrages of the nearly 3-year conflict. The United Nations said that the Houthis, who control northern Yemen, had detained 7 UN personnel and has suspended all UN staff movement in Houthi-held areas while seeking the detainees' immediate release. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the move and demanded the immediate release of the detainees. Earlier, the UN had said the arrests had taken place in the area of capital Sana'a.
You will have seen that in a statement issued this morning by the Office of the Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Yemen, that the de facto authorities in Sana'a detained additional UN personnel working in areas under their control. In response to that, we suspended all official movements into and within areas under the de facto authorities' control.
UN Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Yemeni Prime Minister Ahmed bin Mubarak on Friday. The Secretary and Prime Minister discussed cooperation to stop Houthi attacks in the region and eliminate their capabilities. They discussed the importance of ending the Houthi threat to the Red Sea maritime security and surrounding waterways and their shared concerns regarding unlawful Houthi detention of diplomatic. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen on Friday. The two agreed that the topic of Greenland will be discussed at a later time. Rasmussen and Rubio, meanwhile, also discussed Ukraine, European security and the situation in the West Asia in their conversation. Denmark agreed to discuss the Arctic region with Washington after his first phone call with the top diplomat of the administration of President Donald Trump, who wants control of Greenland. Tensions are running high in the South China Sea after the Philippine Coast Guard accused China of conducting aggressive maneuvers against Manila's fisheries vessels on Saturday. The Philippine Bureau of Fisheries vessels was reportedly harassed by 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships and a Chinese Navy helicopter, forcing them to abandon their scientific survey operations. This incident is just the latest escalation in the long-standing territorial disputes between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea. While U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in his first call with his Chinese counterpart, voiced serious concern over Beijing's coercive moves on Taiwan and in the South China Sea. In the call with Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Rubio stressed the United States' commitment to the allies in the region. Up next, we're heading for a short break. Stay with us. You're watching DD India News Hour.
India, that is Bharat, shall be a sovereign, democratic, republic.
Take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity.
All that we require is honesty of purpose, firmness of determination, a desire to understand each other's viewpoints, birthright of equity and equal opportunity in this country.
DD India takes you back in time and takes you back to the golden era from where it all started. DD India presents before you We the People of India, India's constitution and its legacy.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. Meta has begun testing ads on its social media platform Threads with a few brands in the US and Japan. Launched in 2023, this experiment marks Meta's first run at generating revenue from Threads. The social media giant said that it will monitor the ad test closely before scaling it broadly for other countries' brands. Now, the ads come as Meta is facing heightened scrutiny after its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, entered the company's US fact-checking program and relaxed content moderation rules, similar to Elon Musk's X policies. In global markets, a reversal was seen on the Wall Street as stocks fell after a record-breaking rally on Friday. The S&P 500 slipped 0.3% after hitting an all-time high. In Europe, London and Frankfurt stocks briefly soared to new records but ended the day lower. Paris ended in green after British fashion house Burberry showed signs of recovery. In Japan, the Tokyo market dropped and the yen surged after the Bank of Japan raised interest rates to their highest level since 2008, with more hikes on the horizon. And in other Asian markets, Hong Kong and Shanghai saw gains fueled by President-elect Donald Trump's latest comments on China. On to sports now. We'll talk of tennis first. Defending champion Aryna Sabalenka will battle Madison Keys in the Australian Open women's singles final in Melbourne on Saturday. Sabalenka aims to become the first woman since Martina Hingis to win the Australian Open title 3 times in a row. Sabalenka is overwhelming favourite to defeat Keys after prevailing in 4 of their 5 previous meetings, with the Belarusian slowly and steadily finding her best form. Keys will have to raise her game to a different level to stand a chance against Sabalenka. Also on Saturday, the men's doubles final sees Italians Simone Bolelli and Andrea Vavasori take on Britain Henry Petton and Harry Halevara of Finland. Defending champion Yannick Sinner thrashed Ben Shelton 7-6, 6-2, 6-2 in the Australian Open semi-final on Friday to set up a showdown with Alexander Zverev in the final. Sinner had to save 2 set points in the opening game, but once he won, he raced past the 22-year-old. Sinner is on the cusp of a first Grand Slam title defence after winning his maiden major crown in Melbourne last year. The Italian will face the German second seed Alexander Zverev, who went through to the Sunday's final when Novak Djokovic retired due to injury in their last 4 clash. The final will be a battle of the top 2 seeds, with Zverev in his first Australian Open final. Team England will look to bounce back after suffering a 7-wicket defeat to India when both teams faced today at the MH Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Led by Suryakumar Yadav, India will aim to extend their lead to 2-0 in the series with another strong performance. Led by sensational bowling performances from Arshdeep Singh and Varun Chakravarti, coupled with a blistering 79 from Abhishek Sharma, the hosts hammered England down by 7 wickets after chasing down 133 in 12.5 overs in Kolkata. In the opening T20 International, India made the surprise decision of leaving out seasoned pacer Mohammad Shami from the playing 11. However, it is expected that Shami will feature in the second T20 International, as the team management will want to assess his fitness ahead of the upcoming Champions Trophy. World number 1 test bowler Jasprit Bumrah, Indian opener Yashasvi Jaiswal and all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja have been named in the ICC Men's Test Team of the Year 2024. Bumrah played 13 tests and picked up 71 wickets, which was the most by any bowler. In the 5-match test series against Australia, he accounted for the dismissal of 32 batters. Jaiswal amassed 1,478 runs in 15 matches. In the 5-match test series against England at home, the left-handed batter scored 712 runs and he also finished as the leading run scorer for India in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Ravindra Jadeja had an outstanding start to 2024, scoring 89 runs and taking 5 wickets in the first match against England. However, he scored 527 runs and picked up 48 wickets in the overall tally. All right, on to Hockey India League now. In the last pool stage match of Women's Hockey India League, Surma Hockey Club defeated Shrachi Rar Bengal Tigers by 4-2 in Ranchi on Friday. With this victory, Surma Hockey Club have set up the final clash with Odisha Warriors on Sunday. Charlotte Engelbert dominated the game, scoring a superb hat-trick, while Hina Bano pitched in with a goal for Surma. Captain Vandana Kataria and Shilpi Dabas found the back of the net in the last quarter but were unable to change the outcome of the game. Surma had the majority of the profession and goal-scoring chances, while the Tigers struggled to defend. Jugraj Singh's brace propelled the Shrachi Rar Bengal Tigers to a sensational 5-3 comeback win against the Vedanta Kalinga Lancers in the Men's Hockey India League clash on Friday. Jugraj, Rupinder Pal Singh, Abhishek and Pradeep Singh Sandhu were among the goals for Shrachi Rar Bengal Tigers as they bounced back from a trailing 1-2 to clinch a morale-boosting victory. The win helped Bengal Tigers to go third with 15 points from 8 matches. Meanwhile, the Lancers were 6th currently with 12 points from 9 matches and have 1 match remaining against Surma Hockey Club. All right, on to the ongoing 5th edition of Khelo India Winter Games now. 2 southern states of Telangana and Karnataka stole the honours on day 2 of the Winter Games in Leh on Friday. 15-year-old Nayana Sritaluri of Telangana clinched the first gold medal of this edition when she won the women's 500-meter short track event in ice skating. She had completed a hat-trick at the Games. Nayana was an emphatic winner, leaving in her wake the skaters from Karnataka and Maharashtra. Meanwhile, Harshit of Karnataka won the second skating gold medal of the day. Doordarshan of Tamil Nadu finished second and Sachin Singh of Haryana was at the 3rd position. India celebrates National Tourism Day on January 25th, with the 2025 theme being Tourism for Inclusive Growth. From heritage trails to natural wonders, the focus is on boosting the economy and ensuring benefits for all. Explore the beauty and diversity of India with DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya.
From the snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas to the sun-kissed beaches of Goa, from the fiery flavors of the street food to the rich heritage of ancient trails, India is a land that truly has it all. This year, National Tourism Day 2025 celebrates the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth. The focus is on harnessing the tourism sector's potential to drive economic development, while ensuring its benefits reach all communities across India.
Today, our airports, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, these are world-class airports. They are better than any airport in the world. So when a person lands, he is amazed to get the first impression. After the Ayodhya temple, India can become the spiritual destination of the world. We are the birthplace of 4 great religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and Jainism. And we can have, charters from all over the world on religious tourism.
Observed on January 25th every year, National Tourism Day highlights the critical role tourism plays in shaping India's economy and cultural identity. This year's celebration will feature promotional campaigns, vibrant cultural performances, and discussions centered on sustainable tourism practices. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
All right, with that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour. Bart, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the respective QR codes to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at In Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.